Check, check. Better, better. Yes, yes.
I'll have to hold it way over there.
Have to lower it.
No, I can do it. That's all. I can.
Do I have to be right up here?
No.
No, I should be back here. Okay.
Pull up the chair.
Throw back my shoulders. Yo, need a pigeon. Number 3.
What?
361. Get up your voice, come in.
They can't sign it. They can't get a ballot unless they sign.
Are we ready?
Initial and stuff over here.
Because I'm just going to say words. They got words up even. It's not in that hymnal. The words are up there and you're going to know them immediately.
It's a super easy one.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. One more time, ever rejoice. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Thank you.
Yes.
Now I need myself up. Welcome. Good morning.
Good
Glad to see everyone here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Brazos Valley, UUCBV, or Brazos UU for short. My name is Gay Webb, and I'll be your worship assistant today. We are a welcoming congregation, which means that we celebrate and welcome all people, especially those of diverse sexual orientations and gender identities. We also strive to welcome people across diversities of age, race, ability, immigration status, and belief. We also a congregation working for reproductive justice, which is so important at this time. So whoever you are and wherever you have come from, wherever you are on life's journey, we welcome you here. We have 2 announcements this morning. Don't forget our annual congregational meeting at noon, and lunch will be provided. And for those of you that want to sign up for our UUCBV Pen Pal program over the summer, please contact our Director of Religious Education by May 25th. And also, May 25th is a year-end party for youth and children. So by contacting the DRE at brazos-uu.org.
Our call to worship today is by Mary Oliver, called The Summer Day. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. The one who has slung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she shifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?
Now please join us in lighting
Of the chalice.
Thank you, Baron. We light the chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universal faith, as a beacon of hope for all who seek justice, dignity, and compassion, and in celebration of the life of truth and meaning we share together. And now join me in saying our affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
When I was a boy each week, on Sunday we would go to church and pay attention to the priest. And he would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread. And everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time that Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. Feeling sad that miracles don't happen still, but now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, but an even better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips. But now I have to hold my breath, like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second rate hand me down. But I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Everything, everything, everything is holy now. Read a questioning child's face and say it's not a testament. That'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come and say it's not a sacrament. I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood and I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. Made me wanna bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. 'Cause everything is holy now. It used to be a world out there, heaven's second rate hand me down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now.
There we go. That's good. Yeah. I can project too. Pretty good at that. Our reading today is Watering the Stones by Mary Oliver. Every summer, I gather a few stones from the beach and keep them in a glass bowl. Now and again, I cover them with water, and they drink. There's no question about this. I put tin foil over the bowl tightly, yet the water disappears. This doesn't mean we ever have a conversation, or that they have the kind of feelings we do, yet it might mean something. Whatever the stones are, they don't lie in the water and do nothing. Some of my friends refuse to believe it happens, even though they've seen it. But a few others, I've seen them walking down the beach, holding a few stones, and they look at them rather more closely now. Once in a while, I swear I've heard one or two of them say, "Hello," which I think does no harm to anyone or anything, does it?
Our story for all ages today, there's no Allison, you get me, you're stuck. Okay, and we're gonna play a game. And the game is called the game show. And the way you play is, you think of a nursery rhyme and a style of music commonly played in America that a girl with a ukulele can play. And then I will make up words and a tune and make a song in that style with those words. So a nursery rhyme, something that everybody will know the words to, and a style of music commonly played in America. Anybody want to play my game? Eleanor.
Mary Had a Little Lamb and classical.
And classical. by tradition. If we are bored by how things are, we can change them. With respect for the people who actually wrote it in the first place. You want to be respectful, you want to give credit where credit's due. But we are not limited. And so all music is available to us. The thing about music is that there's all this cultural stuff tied to it. So if I come in, I've got my boots on, and I have an accent like mine, and long hair, and I'm playing an acoustic guitar. What kind of music do I play? Why? It doesn't have anything to do with music, does it? It has to do with culture and expectations. So if I want to make you laugh, all I have to do is start rapping like this. Which is listen to a story about a man named Jed, or about a day about a captain Jed. See, you start laughing because it's culturally inappropriate. It's not musically inappropriate, right? So anybody else want to play? What do you think? And rock. How rock would you want it to be?
211.
Throw down. Throw down.
211.
Let's see. It's really hard to do on the ukulele, but I'll try. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder where you are. I'm a mother so high, like a diamond in the sky. Yeah, better if you have electric guitar, play by ear. Anybody else want to play? Was that okay? Okay. Anybody else want to play?
That could be simple.
Okay.
Salsa.
Jack went in the Jack big quick. Jack jumped over the candlestick. Maybe one more before we get some out?
Little Miss Muffet. Jazz.
Okay. I need a guitar. Can I borrow your guitar?
Dance.
Jack be nimble?
No, Little Miss Muffet.
Little Miss Muffet. Little Miss Muffet sat on the tub, eating with curtains away. Along came a spider, sat down beside her, and frightened Miss Muffet away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so, what did you get out of this? You can have fun at church. One. Two, we're not limited by what's happened in the past. If it's boring to you, change it. Don't, what's the right word for a minister to say? Don't complain. Change it. Okay? Y'all, we're going to sing you out. And I think Molly has got stuff for you to do. Is that right?
That's right.
All right?
Yeah. G.
I'm gonna let it shine. Bring the light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Bring the light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. I'm gonna let it shine.
service, we share our joys and concerns. So those of y'all who have a joy or concern, we have to make our own light today because we don't have the candles. So you just have to light your own. Okay? We can do it imaginary lighting, everybody there? All right. Anybody have a joy or concern they want to share? Come on up and say. I have a joy. I'm getting called today, maybe. Very exciting.
I have a joy. This is the first time I've physically been to this building. I've been here every week remotely and virtually. But I've been waiting to make the announcement to the group. I'm going to retire from Texas A&M University at the end of July. After 45 years of affiliation with the university.
Anybody else? Now's the time in our service where we're going to have silence and you can pray, talk to God as you know God, or just enjoy the quiet for a moment. And the sounds of small people are part of the silence. Amen. Ashe. Blessed be.
I know how to do this. Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear petals of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination. Calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things.
Today I get to talk about one of my favorite poets. Her name is Mary Oliver. Maybe you've heard some of her poems. That's all you heard today, all the readings. We're going to talk about Mary Oliver because she's a Unitarian Universalist. She's in the tradition of Walt Whitman and also Henry David Thoreau, in that she reflects on nature and our place in it. And she doesn't talk about it like we're on top of nature looking down from a tall mountain. She talks about it like we're inside of it. And I really respect that. And that's what we need in the world, right? So what do you know about her? You already know some things. You know she's from Ohio. She was born on September 10th, 1935. She never finished college.
She went to Vassar a little while, and she went to Ohio State a little while, but she never finished college. She got a job working for the Sister of Edna St. Vincent Millay, the poet, and helped her for 7 years putting her papers together, which seems like a very good intern job for a poet to be. So that's kind of the cool stuff about her. Her dad was a coach, so she had the athletic culture beat into her. She was a drummer. She was a very good drummer, actually. She won a state. She got to play, be a drummer for state. So that helps your poetry out quite a bit. Because everything I say and everything you say has a beat. Get it?
Yeah.
So it would be a really handy thing to be a drummer and have that internal rhythm happening all the time. Yeah. So she had a lover named Mary Malone Cook. And Mary Malone Cook and her were together for 40 years. And they lived in Provincetown. And Molly had a bookstore. And in her bookstore, one of the people who worked in the bookstore at one time was John Waters. Yes, that John Waters. Like the Vine. Do you all know who John Waters is? Hairspray, the movie Hairspray. So imagine John Waters. He's from Baltimore, and he's very erudite, gay man. And he is your clerk in your bookstore in Provincetown. Can you imagine how much fun that would have been? Yeah. So they lived there for 50 years, and they had a house at the end of the street in Provincetown. Now, Provincetown is a very interesting place. I don't know if you've been there. Anybody been there? Yeah. So Provincetown is like this combination of Portuguese sailors and gay people and theater people. The combination is frightening, but true. Molly died in 2005. If you've read some of the later, Mary Oliver's later books, there's a book called Our World that has her photographs. They actually met at Auschwitz, which seems like a very auspicious place to meet the love of your life. Molly's about 10 years older than Mary. And there's a book called Our World, if you want to see photographs that Molly took of their whole life that Mary put together after Molly died. It's a very moving book. Yeah, and they lived on Cape Cod for 50 years. How many people have been to Cape Cod? Those of you who have not been there, what I found interesting about it, I'll just tell you, is that Cape Cod is wild. Cape Cod is wild like Texas is wild. You know? And you think, oh, East Coast, it's not going to be that wild. It's going to be very organized, and it's been settled a long time. Not so. I was staying in Eastham, and the house I was staying in had a skylight right above the bed. I woke up in the morning, and there was a raccoon splayed out on the side on the skylight. I was like, okay, this place is not like other places. And there were coyotes. And the Pilgrims actually landed there for a minute, but the Native Americans shot at them. A couple of arrows hit people, and so they went over to Plymouth, and that's where they ended up going. But they originally landed at Eastham. So, very interesting place. And you can see the trees went all the way down to the water there. And they cut them down in the 1600s, but the remnants of those trees are still there. So when you walk along the beach on Cape Cod, you see these giant stumps of trees. So you can sort of imagine what it was like. Crazy, crazy place. Big storms. They had great stories there. And so all this is going into Mary Oliver. And Mary Oliver got up every morning really early and took walks, and she wrote about her life. And sometimes she would hide pencils in the trees, so she would always have a pencil to write a line if it came to her while she was walking. Can you imagine that kind of life? Pretty amazing. So, like I said, she didn't finish college. She was busy.
having a life. And she won many awards, including the Pulitzer Prize in the 80s for her book American Primitive, and a National Book Award in the 90s. She died in January of 2019. She had moved to Florida when Molly died. You can imagine, after living 50 years with someone and then they died, you don't want to be there anymore. I believe it was her spiritual practice to be a writer. And she wrote in a very conversational style. She didn't try to make it more difficult to read her work. And I'm going to read you one of her poems. It's called The Swan. Did you too see it, drifting all night on the black river? Did you see it in the morning, rising into the silvery air? An armful of white blossoms, a perfect commotion of silk and linen as it leaned into the bondage of its wings. A snowbank, a bank of lilies, biting the air with its black beak. Did you hear it fluting and whistling? A shrill, dark music, like the rain pelting the trees, like a waterfall knifing down the black ledges. And did you see it finally just under the clouds? A white cross streaming across the sky, its feet like black leaves, its wings like the stretching light of the river. And did you feel it in your heart, how it pertained to everything? And have you too finally figured out what beauty is for? And have you changed your life? I think she carries a lot of Unitarian, Universalist rootedness. You know, the way she talks and the way she sees the world is very realistic and spiritual at the same time. She's living in her body, she's living in the world, and she's reaching out beyond it and making it have context that's both spiritual, whether you believe in a God or not. It works. There's something magical about her work. And I hope that you read, I think there's like 20 books altogether. I hope you read some more of her work. Does anybody have any questions about Mary Oliver before we move on? All right. Thank you for listening today. And then we're going to have an offering, or is that right? Yes. Right. Great.
Now, let an offering be taken to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many of us. A community of memory and of hope, for we are now the keepers of the dream. This church shares the proceeds of the offering plate donation every week to support important nonprofit organizations. We are still supporting the Pride Community Center, so please be as generous as you can. We give thanks for these gifts, the gifts we have given, and for those we receive, and for each other we give thanks. May your generosity return to you tenfold.
We're going to sing.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to sing number 1013 in your teal hymnal. And so here's the deal with this. It's really beautiful. It's got great words. but it's a little tricky. So we're gonna sing it through one time or maybe twice, all together. And then Darby and Christine are gonna help us and we're gonna lead it as a round, okay? So we'll let Ken establish our tonality. And then once he gets that going, we'll be ready.
Give me a
This is how it goes. Open my heart to all that I see, let me be part of the love you give. We'll do it a few times. Open my heart to all that I see, let me be part of the love you give. Sing with me. Open my heart to all that I see, let me be part of the love you give. Open my heart to all that I see, let me part of the love you give. Open my heart to all that I see, let me be part of the love that I see. Open my heart to all that I see, let me be part of the love that I see. Let me be part of the love that I see. Let me be part of the love
Tell us has a mic if it's on. Now please join me in extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we gather together again. Remember the weight of the wind and breathe and blow. Remember the weight of the fire, sparkle and glitter and glow. Remember the weight of the water and ebb and flow. Remember the weight of the earth and grow. Go to the congregational meeting in peace.
Okay, well.